All right, this is the last video in the 6-5 graphing sine and cosine. So I'll put that up here for you. Graphing sine and cosine. So we talked about all these pieces we need in graphing. So now this is going to be, how do I then graph it all? Okay, so that's what we're going to look at in this lesson here. How do I take all the things I've learned and graph all the things? So here's the steps for graphing sine and cosine, and I'm going to add my pieces that are important as I work my way through. So the first thing is to find our vertical shift and to graph the midline. Remember that your vertical shift is related to the h. Okay, so that will be your midline in there. It's located at your h. Number 2 says find the amplitude and use dashed lines to show the max and min values. So right here now we're looking at that amplitude is our A. Next thing says to find my period. Remember your period is equivalent to 2 pi over k. So you'll use 2 pi over k to find your period. Then find the phase shift and move accordingly. Your phase shift is equivalent to c over k. And so this is where you're going to get all these letters, and then graph the appropriate sine or cosine curve. So let's move through what this looks like. So problem 1 says, state the amplitude, period, phase shift, vertical shift for this equation, and then graph it. So let's work our way through how in the world I am going to graph and do all these things. I think it's helpful if we find all these things first, like it asks. Okay, so we're going to start there. Okay, sorry there's weird shadows. This one is just printed odd. Okay, so we're going to start there. So first thing it says is my amplitude. So my amplitude here is going to be 4. That's my number in front. I know my vertical shift is going to be -3. Okay, so check. My period is going to be equal to 2 pi over k. And my k on this one is 1/2. So I'm going to have 2 pi divided by 1/2. 2 pi times 2, or a period of 4 pi. So really stretched out here. And then my last one is my phase shift. And my phase shift is c over k. My c is this thing here. So my c is going to be a -pi. Remember, it's the opposite of what it says. And then a k divided by 1/2. Whoop, I didn't write it like this. That's okay. So I'm going to say -pi times 2, or -2 pi. That's going to be my phase shift. Hi, so I'm going to take my graph here. I know my amplitude, my vertical shift is going to be down to -3. My amplitude is going to be at 4. So I'm going to need, for the most part, the bottom part of my graph, but we'll graph a big one here. Let's see if that's enough. 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think if I go here, we'll be good. All right, my period here is 4. So in order to help me figure out my scale here for my x-axis, I'm going to take that period and divide it by 4, and that's going to tell me my units. The best units to go by here would be pi, 4 pi divided by 4, and that works here with this. So I'm going to go by units of pi, and then the same the other way for the negatives. All right. I'm going to say these are units of 1, right, in there. So I'm going to grab a pencil really quick so I can add something else on there with pencil. All right. The first thing it tells me, find the vertical shift, graph the midline. So I found that my vertical shift is -3. So my midline is going to be down here at -3. And I'm just going to add that in pencil. Maybe I would use another color. But that's going to be my midline here. Okay, so it's shifted down there. The next thing it says is to find the amplitude and use dashed lines to show the max and min. My amplitude was 4, so from my line here I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to put dashed lines here at 4, and from here 1, 2, 3, 4, dashed lines down here at 4. Okay. Now I know my period needs to happen in 4 pi, so 4 spaces. That's where my numbering came into handy. And now my phase shift needs to go over negative 2 pi. I know I am dealing with a cosine, so over at negative 2 pi, which is right here, I need to start at my maximum. And then in order to get to a period of 4, so my period is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to happen again over here at 2 pi. That's going to be my period. So I have an idea of where my period is going to go. Everything else has to happen within there. So at the middle point here, I need to be at my minimum. And at my points to the side of that, I'm going to be at like my 0 where my midline is. If I wanted to continue down some more points, I could. So now I'm going to draw my curve in here. And that is the graph of this right here. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go through my next one here, and I'm going to go through the exact same process working through it. So start with the first one. My amplitude here is 2. My vertical shift is 2. My period is 2 pi over k, which is 2 pi over this right here, negative 3. Okay. We talked about with that k, I'm just looking at this, making sure we did this one right. We don't care if our period doesn't necessarily matter if it's negative or positive. So this isn't going to matter, but that's a 3. So it's 2 pi over 3 is our period. And then the last one is our phase shift, and that is equal to c over k. That negative will matter in the c over k. So that will be, let's see. Okay, so it's going to be pi over 2 divided by k is negative 3. So that's going to be pi over 2 times negative 1/3 or negative pi over 6. That's going to be my phase shift. All right, so this one gets a little complicated here because this is 2/3 for a period, okay? I may want to put this into 6. Remember that these things happen into 4 easy increments. So we kind of want to think about how am I going to end up in 2/3. What is that divided by 4? Okay. That's going to be a little bit crazy for us to figure out here. All right. So I'm also just thinking through. This one's going to move over negative pi over 6. So I was going to convert this to help me out to 4 pi over 6. Okay. So 4 pi over 6 is going to be those units to help me move back a negative unit. But I need this to happen in 4 increments. So that means I can graph this in pi over 6. Because then I would end up with 4 of them for my graph there. All right, I may not have given myself enough room. We'll see. So my vertical shift is 2. So that's my midline. Okay, my amplitude is 2. So dotted lines from there. kind of gives me a runway to know where I'm working. Okay. I figured out that I have to label this as pi over 6. Whoop, my labels go down here. Pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 of them. Okay, and I need to get through 4 of them because that's my period there. I need to phase shift negative pi over 6. Well, that's okay because that's my units here to here, and I'm doing a sine. So it's going to start right here. Okay, and in 4 of the pi over 6s, so 1, 2, 3, 4, by here, I'm going to end up back at 0. So that means I got to go back here as well. I'm going to go up and back down, and that'll be my sine curve here. Well, let's curve that one back up. Okay, so making sure you get your period into a way that you can do units to get to 4 will help you with your graphing.